So you can't build the buildings, hope someone will show up, when these people come on the big tour, see the Boston-style pricing, and an empty city behind you. Mm-hmm. Because this administration, the Tavares administration, has failed miserably at maintaining the type of growth curve that the Cianci administration had started in terms of downtown. We're seeing more and more buildings abandoned. We're seeing parking spots come up. And we're seeing space, instead of being taken by private industry, we're seeing it absorbed by the universities. Mm-hmm. And so where is the future? So if you're out there, folks, and Tony, maybe you'll throw out the link there. Folks, if you think that someone should build a luxury apartment building in the heart of downtown and that somehow it'll take off, let us know. Because I just don't see it.
Well, so it seems as if we have probably as much luxury apartment housing as we can sustain at this point.
Right. So if the building is to be used, what possible... The only thing growing in this state is state government. So do we have another building that we just absorb and use for office buildings and spend a fortune rehabbing? Does that make any sense?
Well, I'd also question, and this isn't this particular administration or the last one necessarily, why do we give permits to some of these businesses to build massive new structures when there are other structures that are about to become vacant? Is there not some way that these people could be communicating with each other?
Right.
If we had known the Superman building was going to be vacant, would we have let Blue Cross build whatever giant thing it was going to build, or G-Tech? Well,
at the time, to certain people's in the media credit, and here at the Coalition, we'll throw out credit where it's deserved. We're not afraid to mention other radio shows. But, a running joke on Buddy Cianci's show was pretty much a countdown to the demise of the Superman building. Mm-hmm. He had Joe Paolino in, and Joe Paolino has got a vested interest in downtown. Remember, it's Paolino property. That's one of the principal players down here. But there was a recognition everywhere that the end was coming. And in true Rhode Island style, I think folks said to themselves, why would they want to leave here? And I say, why would they want to stay here?
Suppose a business goes out of business. Things happen.
Yeah, bad things happen to good people. So imagine what happens to really crummy people like the people who run Providence.
So for those of you who don't know, which is probably everybody, so where we're housed in our studio here, there is also incubator office space. So you can, if you have an upstart business, you can rent out conference rooms. You can rent out small offices. And I saw the most depressing thing ever here at the office space. It was a stack of like 1,000-count business cards in the garbage. So the guy I'm not even sure what the business was, but his office is cleaned out and he's out of business before he could even go out there and distribute all the business cards. It's just like ultra depressing to me seeing those business cards stacked up on the garbage can.
Well, it's one has to question, and in our earlier gestation on the Coalition, back when we were on internet only, we often talked about why would anyone come to Providence? Now, again, the three of us here have vested interest in the success of the city. However, there is no fundamental reason to relocate a business here. It's a great place to party. It's a great place to hang out. But the last time I checked, you're still allowed over the border. If your office is in North Attleboro, they're not doing border searches to keep people away from restaurants and party spots and some of the great bands that my coworkers here are a part of. So again, with no reason for this type of development, why put the money up?
Although if it gets bad enough, I would love to broadcast from the top of the Superman building. We could set up.
Maybe we could just do it. Let's just break in.
We'll squat.
Yeah, we'll squat. Occupy the Superman building.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as
there's a hashtag in there somewhere.
As long as you don't have to physically squat the whole time we're squatting. Although P.O. and I could probably use some squats.
Next week's show, the Sumo Wrestling Foundation.
Just imagine the transmitter site that you could build. You could probably reach all of Rhode Island from the... Mancow used to broadcast from the top of the John Hancock building.
All right.
A great place for a studio.
So William J. Fisher, William J. Fischer, if you're out there, if you're listening, if any of your friends are listening, if any of the people you really detest are listening, let him know. Have him contact us. We're going to put out an all-point search this week because maybe we'll even have a contest as to give us a compelling reason why to do that. It's just not. It just makes no sense. So, next issue, of course, talking about Glenn Close, character arising from the bathtub. Richard Leach, original winner of the Rhode Island "How Can We Miss You If You Won't Go Away" award. Here's a man who's made a fortune. By all accounts, is honest, is quite intelligent, but at the same time, seems to feel like the only way he can make a living is if he works for the state of Rhode Island. Another one of these public servants who just wants to give and give and give. And boy, does he simultaneously get and get and get. He's been put on the short list for a Superior Court judge vacancy. Okay, he's an attorney. He's, in fine standing with the Bar Association, I'm sure, here. He also happens to be the chief of staff and and what I call the Dick Cheney figure behind the Lincoln Chafee regime. Broadcasting from the bunker. The person most likely, what was the name of the evil banker in the Jimmy Stewart movie, It's a Wonderful Life? The most person likely to be mistaken for him. If there was ever a nefarious character, always sort of Forrest Gump-like, he always seems to be in the picture for something. Again, now you riddle me this, jokers. If the Superior Court judgeship is where serious law is conducted, big boy cases, big boys and girls, you got to put your big boys and girls pants on when you go to that court. All right. So here we have someone, because of political connections, potentially appointed to a lifetime position on the judiciary, who will simultaneously be able to take a special provision in the law that would give him extra pension money. So this gentleman has the opportunity to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, yet at the same time has no judicial time. Please, again, correct me. Tony will give out the link on our Facebook page. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no judicial experience whatsoever. Chris, why do we want him as a Superior Court judge?
That doesn't sound like a good plan at all. At all. It seems like, what's he going to do? Like, read up on it? How to be a judge for dummies?
He's going to go to the University of Phoenix online.
He's going to watch a lot of Law and Order episodes to get caught up on.
Do you want to make more money? Sure, we all do.
I have this mental image of the committee, the state Senate Judiciary Committee, talking around. Yeah, I could be a judge. Can you be a judge? Yeah, that's a ticket.
I could be a judge.
Apparently.
I look good in black robes. So they say.
Me, not so much.
Well, I don't know.
It's not slimming. But so somebody out there, tell me a compelling reason why we have to take someone because of their political connections and give them a living. And if this is really, Mr. Leach, if this is really about public service.
Yeah, aren't there other public service jobs that he's better suited for, number one? Well, aren't there better candidates for that particular job, number two? Well,
let me just throw something at you. The V word, not what you think. The V word. And this is a stretch. I want everyone who works for the state of Rhode Island, who's listening, or when they listen to this, to just sit down for a moment. Do not be ingesting hot beverages. All right? How about volunteer? All right?
There you go.
Should I repeat that for the people in North Providence?
Sure.
Public service can equal volunteerism. You could donate your time. How about that,
right,
Mr. Leach?
You could possibly go work for a nonprofit and not necessarily at a crazy high salary.
You mean volunteer?
Yeah, or what counts for not volunteering, but being paid the kind of nonprofit wages that most nonprofit soldiers make.
You mean people who do it for all the right reasons?
Yeah, for example.
Oh, all right.
There are some of those folks out there working for a bit less than they would make in the private sector.
Didn't we do a show because they want to? That's up on podcast
we did talk about that. Right.
People who...
And we'll probably revisit that from time to time as people either contact us in outrage justifying what they make, or hopefully telling us about cases they've heard of that they think should be mentioned.
All right, so let's compare two people that we've talked about. Tenny Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bear with me, I get the acronyms all mixed up here. I'm not good at that. I'm not a smart man, all right? But the Center for Creative Nonviolence, or along that lines, here's a man who spends his life actually on the streets of Providence.
In the ghetto.
in the toughest parts of the city, doing a thankless job, and by all federal accounts, draws essentially a living salary. He's an adult, very well educated, and that constitutes giving back.
Right.
Making 3 times that amount is a gentleman who simultaneously is the chief of staff for the governor of the state of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations, all right, who had the temerity, the gall, to argue in front of the Ethics Commission that he's not responsible for, I don't know, the direction of the government. Therefore, he's exempt from any type of state ethics control. Wow. How? I mean, obviously the guy's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because if you can pull that down, God bless you, lad.
Yeah, and it also points up, what do people believe ethics means?
In Rhode Island?
Yeah.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
there used to be some expectation that people would understand that they were also supposed to avoid the appearance of an ethical conundrum.
Right.
Not go stand somewhere and argue that, some minute legalese issue that I work for the government, but I don't really work for the government.
Right. Okay.
I work for the government, but the government doesn't work for me, therefore it's not ethics.
It depends on what your definition of is.
Okay. Well, far be it from me to belabor a point.
Right.
That was an ironic comment. But again, if anyone's out there who can give us a compelling reason why Richard Leach should be the next member of the Rhode Island Superior Court, please, Tony, what's the Facebook link again?
Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. And everybody's on Twitter now, so I got to mention Twitter, Coalition_radio. Wow.
Wanted to give you an update. Now, we've spoken a little bit over the last week or so about Fear for Food, which was up on Blackstone Street in Woonsocket, a nice family who decided to do, or actually for a number of years, has tried to do some nice things for people. Essentially, again, this goes back to the volunteer word, all right? For free, gratis, at their own expense, True Public Service erected a living testament to our obsession with Halloween.
Yes.
Okay?
It was a haunted house.
Right. And in doing so, I believe eclipsed a record this year and raised close to or over 1,000 pounds of food.
Well, how dare they?
Right.
Damn them. To eternal damnation.
The city of Woonsocket suddenly decided that this was all a fire hazard. After years of turning a blind eye to it, all of a sudden it's a fire hazard.
Right.
And had they said something at the end of last year's haunted house along the lines of, hey, nice job raising funds and canned goods, but next year you need to use fireproof materials, perhaps this family could have planned ahead.
Right. Or in the spirit of, again, we keep getting back to that crazy concept, volunteerism, all right, sent some town people, employees down and said, okay, let's each throw together $50 and let's get this rigged up.
Yeah.
Now,
why don't we help you resolve these issues so that you can continue doing your good work?
And do it in a way that's affordable. Mm-hmm. Because, unfortunately, the concept of community involvement has become so hampered by fear of conflict, fear of attack, fear of retribution, fear, that fewer and fewer people are willing to engage in it, which then just reinforces the notion that we're unable to do these things for ourselves. And it ended up, the resolution, sadly, was a couple of days before Halloween, the Rhode Island Fire Marshal was invited down, and I took the time, without naming names, I called around to Woonsocket City Hall because as a member of the media now, I'm newly empowered. People actually, some of them returned my phone call. So no one would admit to who dropped a dime with the state fire marshal. The Woonsocket Fire Department, the mayor's office, listen, the mayor's got a couple days left in his administration, and it would seem in his political
He's probably
future,
packing up.
because he still hasn't called me back. So, Mayor Fontaine, if you're out there in Woonsocket, don't let the door hit you.
Sayonara.
Yeah, okay.
He can't call you back. He's too busy shaking hands and kissing babies.
Right. I went to check his face. Oh, no. We went to the web. No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So none of them would admit any sort of culpability in just how this happened. So, my hat's out to these folks. If you're in the Blackstone Street area, and we're going to put up on the Facebook, we've reached out to them if there's a place during the year where contributions can be made on an ongoing basis. It is city like Woonsocket. I was in Woonsocket last night, and at the Stadium Theater,